Hi, I'm Dr. Gaby Cora, and welcome to my show, Dr. Gaby's Take, Make Life Interesting. Hi, welcome to Season 1, Episode 4, Passion into Action. If we look at the current unemployment rates for our newly graduates, 2010 has brought those numbers to a 9.1%. Now, kids or young adults who have not been to college have higher unemployment rates. Now, the interesting thing is for those kids who have been in college, 2/3 of them are in debt. So whether or not they find a job will make it a very important factor as to not only pay off their debt, but also to be able to support themselves. How can we create or change or shift this passion into action with everything that the kids that are young adults or that our young population has learned into a practical way of making that matter? There's 3 elements that I find to be very interesting and very important to be able to convert this passion into action. The first one is knowledge. What school has traditionally given us is a foundation to be able to have a direct source of information in a structured way. The other great thing that school has done for us is to provide a way in which we can search for that information. Some people who may not have known how to do that have the opportunity to learn how to do that now. That becomes very important. However, one of the advances of technology these days, particularly with the internet, allows us to be able to search for that source of information on our own. So we have a mix of kids maybe going to college and learning all these skills, but information is going so fast. We're learning so many new things on a daily basis that we have to keep that information updated, and that's where internet sources become very relevant. Now, except if we're in an industry, like for example in my case where I first learned to be a physician, and where it was very important to be able to comply to regulatory requirements and to licensure needs. Other than that, there are many other professions that do not have those requirements. And that's where it's getting a little tricky about whether young adults should or shouldn't seek more education, particularly given the situation of what we're facing these days. The second point that is very prevalent, particularly in the United States in comparison with some other countries, particularly, for example, in Europe, is experience. Our country has been wonderful in terms of allowing people to really live their American dream out of seeking their own experience and building their own companies or businesses. So it's very important for us, whether or not we do have a degree, to get more and more of that experience so that we can implement all the lessons learned. Now, because nothing beats our own experience, it's going to be very important for us to try to figure out how we can gain some more experience. So for example, in my case, as a physician, it was very important to be able to have different experiences with very severely ill patients to other patients who were doing extremely well. That served me well. It also served me well in the business world to have been able to work not only within the federal government or a state government, but also in the nonprofit industry or having worked for corporate America. That was tremendous experience for me as well. Now, sometimes we learn from internships or paid apprenticeships, and some other times we have the opportunity to go on a field day or a way in which we can learn some more so that we can implement hands-on. The third point that I want to make is intuition. Intuition is what allows us to know ourselves better, know what our true passion is, know about the things that we truly care about, know what our skills are and the things that we need to learn some more so that we can complement what we already have. So it's very important to try to figure out how can we combine that knowledge with experience and with a touch of intuition. This is the way that I realized that you can transfer that passion into action, putting it all together. And now I'd love to invite you to enjoy the show, where we're going to see a lot more about how we can combine knowledge, experience with a touch of intuition in starting something new. Our episode today is Passion into Action. Let me introduce you to Jason Liebross, an unemployed newly grad who became a social entrepreneur. Join me in this interview and hope you'll enjoy. Hi, I'm Dr. Gaby Cora, and I'm here with Jason Liebross and Lee Nydorf. How are you today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Well, I'm very excited about this interview because we really want to tell the world a bit of what's been going on behind the scenes for sportspages.com.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit, how was this idea, how did it get started?
Well, to be honest, I was leaving college and I was looking for jobs in marketing, which is where my degree is in, and it's not the ideal time to be looking for jobs right now. So I spent a lot of time also, browsing through Twitter and Facebook and things like that, killing time while I'm supposed to be looking for jobs. And one day I'm looking through my Twitter feed, which I use specifically for sports, and I noticed that it's basically a sports news aggregator in itself. I choose a writer, and when he has something to say, I see it. When he writes an article, he tweets it, and I get to view it. So I thought to myself, what if everybody had something like this? Then we wouldn't have to go, say, for Miami teams, they wouldn't have to go to the Palm Beach Post and the Sun Sentinel and the Miami Herald to read articles, because everything would filter to one place. And we'll go out and we could find all the Twitter writers for all the teams and the players that are on Twitter and filter it all into one spot, so people don't have to be going all over in Twitter and Facebook and the newspaper sites and ESPN and all those places to get their sports news, when they could just go to one site and get everything right there.
So I want to know how this idea came to you. Did it just get started when you realized, wow, this is an aggregated feed?
It was almost like an epiphany. I mean, one day I'm staring at the screen. It actually happened in the car. I was leaving Orlando. I was up there visiting, and I was coming back, and I had just closed my computer, gotten in the car, and I was on Twitter reading about sports, and the idea hit me. What if everybody had something like this? Then they wouldn't have to go all over the place, and we could do it. And now is the perfect time with the economy the way it is to go forward on an idea that you think is good and pursue it. So what I did was I thought about it more on my way home, and as I started to realize that it didn't exist anywhere else where you could do something like this, I decided that now's the time. I have to try and pursue it.